Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. 8 p.m. Saturdays are Sumit beer time, and we have some important developments, and these are all things that we had predicted, and now it feels good when you turn out to be right. Let's welcome Sumit 𝗖𝗍𝗍 as we assess the damage Pakistan has suffered from Op Sindoor, because it has been confirmed by none other than the Chief of the Indian Air Force. Let's welcome Sumit 𝗖𝗍𝗍. Sumit Namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel. How are you, sir?
𝗤𝚍 Siya Ram, Radhe sir, all good and fine by your Ashirvad and Kripa of Lord Mahakal. Namaskaram to all our brothers and sisters across the world.
Thank you so much, Sumit. So today the IAF chief has called out. He has given a complete laundry list. What got snagged, what went wrong, how many in the hangars, how many flight, all the good stuff. Now there is nothing that Pakistan can say that, oh no, this didn't happen, that didn't happen. I'm also hearing, and I'll yield the floor to you. I'm also hearing that they don't know how to repair the damaged airfields, and they are giving international tenders, and no one is biting because everybody knows these guys don't have money to pay. So I'm curious how that's going to play out. Over to you.
Thank you very much, sir. In the name of Lord Sree Ganesha, let's do the Sree Ganesha of today's show. Look, it's very happy. I'm very happy, and it's a happening news. And thank God we have been proved right, because we have been always saying that at least 5 Pakistani jets and AWAC, which is confirmed down. That is what our sources have been telling. That is everybody what has been telling us. And there's a lot of things, a lot of revelations which have come today. The first thing is these 6 planes which are confirmed dead. Confirmed dead. So let me take you back to what Donald Trump was saying. 5 planes are down. So by that logic, only 5 Pakistani planes went down. And let me take you to Rahul Gandhi. He'll be very unhappy today because he was saying, how many what happened to Pakistan? Pakistan brought over 5 planes down. Well, nothing like that happened. Pakistan got whacked. And there are a couple of things which I want to make clear before we get into details. First and the most important thing is I was looking at the interview wherein Air Chief Sahab, Mr. AP Singh, General Air Chief Marshal AP Singh, is very clear in one thing. He says, our hands were not tied. So Mr. Rahul Gandhi, if you think the hands were tied, they were not tied. We were deciding the targets. That is, the Indian Air Force was deciding the targets, and we were taking out the targets because Pakistan was using their Air Force and their ancestor attackers. So we decided to go for the kill. Point number 3, the CDS post, which was created by Prime Minister Modi, was a very, very important force because CDS helped in coordination and keep giving a coordinated reply to the Pakistan. So that was point number 3. Point number 4, there was a great role of NSA Ajit Doval, which he admits. Point number 5, there was no interference from government in any day whatsoever. What you want to do, what you don't want to do, which target you want to kill, which target you don't want to kill. Point number 7, it was a high-tech warfare because staying in our war rooms, the HQ could ask commands, and commands will do the needful. And how the political masters or the political bosses were informed, they were informed by those short calls. There was no discussion, there was no deliberation where we discussed, Saab, should we attack this airbase or not? Should we take this aircraft or not? No, that was nothing like that was decided. They were just told, yes, mission achieved, done, this done, that done. Those small calls which were given briefings. So they were not part of the briefing room. It was not being coordinated from the Prime Minister's office or residence. It was the Indian Sena, that is the Indian Army, which is Air Force, Navy and Air Force, which was calling the shots. Indian Air Force needs to be complemented. And I think Air Marshal 𝗤𝗍𝗍𝗍 has been always charitable with his words. But remember, Air Marshal 𝗤𝗍𝗍𝗍 indicated a lot of things at the DGMO briefing. And it's a fantastic job done by Indian Air Force. Now, if we look at the things, and we will go a bit deep into them because I have been trying to analyze how the things really went. Look, what we know is here, it is hit in Jacobabad, F16 hangar was hit. We know 2 commands in Murid, and I think Chaklala is gone. 6 radar sites are gone, big and small. Then we know 2 runways, Sarkoda and Rahim Yar Khan are gone. 3 hangars in Shakur, Bellori and Jacobabad. Jacobabad is the F16 hangar. I think Bellori is the one is this reconnaissance aircraft hangar, and one is a UAVs hangar. Now, after that, what we know is the following things. This is what is the extent of damage what we got. The most important thing which the Air Chief Marshal told us, sir, is that S-400 has been the game changer. It has been the weapon of the choice. It really kind of devastated Pakistan. Another important thing which he told us, this time it was different from Balakot because he showed us the imagery from open source airfare before the attack, after the attack. And now what we have this time over and above that, in Balakot, when we destroyed the sites, we did not have the image what was inside the site. Now this time, Sree sir, we have even the images what is inside the site. You can see the quantum of damage which the sites have taken a hit after the site. We have even imagery of that. Another important aspect, we for sure are hereby and have been told five aircrafts of fighter jets of Pakistan were shot down. And hold on, you have to hold, give me a minute, because I'll take me a minute to explain. It's not so straightforward. 5 fighter jets of Pakistan, Rahul Gandhi, Mr. Chidambaram, Sonia Gandhi ji, and all our good friends from Congress. 5 of the Pakistani fighter jets have been brought down. One AWAC, or a whatever reconnaissance aircraft has been brought down, possibly a AWAC. This was done from 300 kilometers away. So there is a lot of connotations to it. So this was done by S-400. All the kills were done by S-400. And remember, S-400 shot 11 rockets. 11 projectiles were shot from S-400. So 5 kills are here. I think another 6 went to defend were trying to deflect some high-profile missiles. So what we know today, that S-400 is not only, what I've been telling is not only a defensive weapon, you can also have a sizable offense on it. Another important aspect. Now, because of the S-400, these people could not come very near to our borders because they were scared of the S-400. Immediately when they were even trying to fire, we'll lock them in, and they were shit scared, they ran away. He told us there was a formation which formed, which was quite a big formation. When we fired our first missile, the formation got decimated. Pakistanis literally chickened out and started shitting in their pants. That is what he tells us. Another important aspect is their short-range missiles were unuseful. Their long-range surface-to-air missiles were not useful because in this time around, when Balakot happened, Pakistanis will come with those aerial weapons, which were surface-to-air missiles, long-range missiles, and they could attack a bit around our army cantonments and some meadows and some valleys in the Indian side. They could not cause any damage, but they could come. This time the phenomenal achievement has been they have not been able even to come near to the Indian side. Forget attacking anything within Indian territory. They were not able to come because of the S-400. And the most important thing is what I have not told you yet. The most important thing is, when you look into that, I have to salute Air Marshal A.P. Singh sir, because he's a genius. You know why? He has told you something which has rattled all the imaginations. He has told us these kills, 5+1, this is done by S-400. But when we attacked 𝗥𝗘𝗻𝗄, half of the F-16 hangar was gone. Half of the F-16 hangar was gone. There were planes which were parked there. There were planes which were for repair there. So the quantum of kills is much more, in my opinion. The number of hits is much more. 5 jets were brought down by S-400, 5+1, 6. When we hit 𝗥𝗘𝗻𝗄, when we decimated their hangar, and he said that when you look at the images before the attack and images after the image, half of the hangar is gone. Half of the hangar is wiped out. So how many F-16s which were parked there were destroyed? And how many F-16s which were there for repair were destroyed? Because another important revelation which he talks in between the lines is that they used F-16. They used F-16 as because they use F-16 to attack our places in wherever in Kashmir, and also F-16s were on the target. We knew where the F-16s are. We went and destroyed their F-16s. So in a way, after the attack, Pakistan's capability of using F-16s was substantially damaged. So how many F-16s have been killed or eliminated? And by the way, when you talk about Bulari, it is a UAV base. It is the base where they have these UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicle systems. So in my opinion, I think I read somewhere, and there was a lot of intel around that, 11 to 18 of these units, or these UAVs or UAVs, were also destroyed. So the number of Pakistani aircraft destroyed is much higher. The 5+1 is only hits by S-400. So what we destroyed in 𝗥𝗘𝗻𝗄, what we destroyed in Bellori, and I may not have the right pronunciation, that is over and above what we are talking about. And let's not forget Noor Khan. Noor Khan hit was very, very big. The runway Noor Khan and Sargodha was very, very hit. What did we destroy below the runway? Possibly a command and control center and possibly a nuclear weapons transit center. Over to you, Sree sir.
Sumit, did you say that F-16s were flying to try and attack India? That was not supposed to be the rule. The charter between US and Pakistan is that it's only to be used for defense. In fact, if you remember, during Balakot, they took out that F-16. Once F-16 was shot down.
Yeah.
And I think another one went down on its own, and the pilot died because after it crashed in POJK, they thought it was an Indian pilot, and they basically lynched him to death. Their own guy. He was the son of a decorated air marshal, if I remember correctly.
You're absolutely right.
सटके हुए लोग हैं भाई, मेरे को समझ में ही नहीं आ रहा इसको, क्या बोलूं मैं, खुद के लोगों को मार लेते, इतने छूतिए हैं तुम लोग. Sorry.
They're idiots. I mean, that's how you describe these idiots rightly, sir. You know what I'm very happy about? The number is not totally 5. 5 is only by S400. And let me tell you another thing. I have been stretching my neck out and telling one thing. I think on PGurus, did I tell or not? But other channels, and especially I've been saying the S400 which we have. I think my estimate, and some sources told me the range of the interception is higher than 400 kilometers. What we have got, it's not 400, it's much higher, 450, maybe slightly high. And in S400, there's something called as a proximity fuse. Proximity fuse is when it comes near to the target. Let's say if it's 500 meters from the target, flying very near, right? Or even like this. When it comes, it will explode. So it will bring down the target. Now, I was told by some reliable sources, and I'm not talking now, when we got those S400 batteries, that the proximity fuse, what we have got is much higher. The distance is much bigger. So what does that mean? The chances of the kill, the probability of the kill with our S400 is much higher than a typical S400. So there are a couple of features which are very specific and very silent, never being told to anybody. In all probability, they have been given to India. That is why Air Marshal Sir is saying that it has been a game changer. It has been a fantastic machine. And Sree sir, remember, we as PGuru channel hold ourselves fully accountable and want to take a little bit of credit here. Remember, when the Operation Sindoor was on, we told you that Putin did a press conference wherein he was talking big about the Russian weapons. He was saying, look how accurate and how beautiful Russian weapons are. You can look at. He was hinting at Operation Sindoor. You have seen recently. I think by that Putin knew that F-16s were brought down by S-400, and that is why you are saying, oh, Russian weapons are the beautiful, they're the best, they're the very accurate, and you have seen their accuracy. He did not name Operation Sindoor because it was in those days only, or a couple of days when the Operation Sindoor was over. I think we talked about it in PGurus. I 101% remember that. I told you Putin must be talking about S-400 because that is his biggest weapon which was used. And then, of course, the BrahMos did the magic. And you know what happened to Pakistan? Pakistan got decimated. So the thing is that S-400 did what was supposed to do. And I can tell you, with whatever I have read and understood and analyzed about S-400, it is much more than what we know. The efficiency of the system is mind-boggling, and there are a couple of features which I think we as India has got specially for that. And Putin did this, and Putin did say that, the Russian weapons are very, very accurate. So let me BrahMos, let it be S-400. And I think that is something which irked Donald Trump, because if you look at the quantum of damage, and if I take you back now to Air Marshal 𝗲𝗫𝗍𝗔, when he was briefing us, he said, high-tech planes have been brought down. High-tech. Well, Chinese can't be high-tech. JF-17 can't be high-tech. J-10 can't be high-tech. So obviously Chinese planes were brought down, but when he hinted high-tech was F-16. Now, if I kind of elaborate a picture a bit, what I am getting is these, hits, then there might be a couple of F-16s here and number of X-15s which were in a hangar. If half of the hangar is gone, how many F-16s are gone? If half of the hangar is gone, how many F-16s on repair are gone? If F-16s have been shot down by a Russian S-400 used under Indian Akash Tir AI-driven system, if American F-16s, which Pakistan was using against us, violating all the principles and violating all the norms they were giving to us, it was shot down using a Russian S-400 integrated into 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗪, which is our AI-based system, and that did the magic. Obviously, Trump is it. Obviously, Americans are not happy about it because first, there's a MiG-21 Bison, which is Abhinandan Vardhamanji. He brought down a F-16. Then another one, which you rightly said crashed, was hit, crashed, and they lynched the pilot. But here, it is not about anything. Here, it's a direct hit. It is 5 planes. Some of them are F-16s. We don't know the number. And half of the hangar of F-16s is gone. I don't know how many can you place in a hangar. Good 15, 18 can be placed in a hangar, what I understand. So if they are gone, and what about the planes who are already on repair? So that is where I think President Trump got here. That is where President Trump wanted to jump in and to do the ceasefire, because American Lockheed Martin radars were hit, F-16 was hit. And if you look at talk of radars, 6 radar stations were hit, big and small, and couple of them were Lockheed Martin made. So it's not only F-16, it's Lockheed Martin, and a lot of things got hit. And we don't know, the UAVs and unmanned aerial vehicle systems are both possibly Chinese, Turkish. I don't know whether from Iran or not, but Chinese and Turkish for sure they were there. They again got hit. So the quantum of damage which Pakistan has got is mind-boggling. That is why they came up with a tender to repair those airfields. Now that a lot of airfields are being drastically hit, and something we have hit in Noor Khan. I can tell you, below the runway of the Noor Khan airfields, there was a lot of people talk about a command and control center. A lot of people talk about it was a transitional hub for Pakistan nukes, which possibly got hit. And of course, Sargodha got hit. Now, if there's one point I want to draw your attention to, the 2 runways which were hit. The 2 runways which were hit were Sargodha and Rahim Yar Khan. Yes.
Noor Khan.
Sargodha, Noor Khan. Now, what is Sargodha? Sargodha was where they had this Canary Hill, next to the Canary Hill, and we know what was in the Noor Khan. There was something in the below the run, which got hit, right? So this hit really changed the game. And he was very clear. Pakistani DGMO sir came and wanted to beg us for kindly stop the war. We cannot fight anymore. There was no call. There was no political interference in any way whatsoever. And that Air Force, Army, Navy jointly under the leadership of CDS and the government of India decided that our objectives are done. We have decimated Pakistan beyond what they could repair for months. We have really dented their image. We have really dented the joint venture of Pakistan, Turkey, Turkey, Azerbaijan, and China put together. So our military objectives were met. We have whacked Pakistan. We have dented their aura, and now we did not want the things to go beyond a point, because we don't want to be in a Russia-Ukraine kind of a war. We achieve our objectives in a very short span of time, and they came and pleaded for mercy. We did it. And by the way, there's one more thing about this 𝗥𝗘𝗿. He said in 𝗥𝗘𝗿, there were certain things which we could have hit that could have escalated the things to a different level. Now, what was in 𝗥𝗘𝗿 beyond F-16s? What was some intel? What were those things which we chose not to hit because we did not want this unnecessary escalation? So we kind of managed our things very, very smoothly, and when we kind of did what we wanted to do. It is Pakistan who pleaded and begged for mercy. It is not the Americans. It is not the Donald Trump. It's not Marco Rubio. It's not Pete Hexen. Nobody called us for. So here, now, if you don't want to believe our Chief of the Air Staff, Chief Air Marshal Saab, you don't want to believe Chief Air Marshal A.P. Singh Ji, then I have nothing to talk to you, because then you want to just run the foreign malicious propaganda for all the people in India who still don't want it. And he said one important point. He said in Balakot, we decimated the sites, but we did not know what was inside the site. But this time around, we decimated the sites and we exactly knew what is inside the site. The quantum of damage, even Indian Air Force and Indian forces had the assessment of the damage which went below the structures. So it is a substantial hit. It's a big hit. I think Pakistan's malicious propaganda is called off. Field marshal should have been court-martialed and crucified. The problem is that it is Pakistan. That is why they are running. I think that is why America wants to say there was a ceasefire and all. I think the quantum of damage what we are assessing right now, what I have been able to assess right now, and what Air Chief Marshal A.P. Singh Saab has been very beautifully able to articulate is quite big, and the quantum of damage is substantial. So Pakistanis, you have been whacked, you have been beaten black and blue, you don't have a place to hide. Your field marshal is a crap head, what I can tell him, and your air force and all is gone. You could not even go near to our borders. Your ammunitions, nothing, your fighter aircraft could not come near to our borders. Forget attacking us. You could not even come near to us. You were trying to keep away from the range of S-400. You were trying to come away from the range of S-400. And one important thing, the hit which you got, your 5 planes and the AWAC, which was, it was hit from 300 kilometers. This is again a new world record. 300 kilometer away hit is a world record. That is why I'm telling you, the S-400 we have got. And 2.5 years back, 3 years when S-400 came, I've been talking on TV, I've been talking on various YouTube channels. It's much different than what a traditional S-400 we all know in the public domain is. There are some features which are very specific to us. And I think these features, which Chinese did not know, which Pakistan had no idea about, which Turkish and possibly if Iran was with them, they had no idea about, and that is what this got whacked. So beautifully war won, beautiful done, and we are prepared to handle Pakistan as and when they come in. We have decimated them to an extent of humiliation, to an extent of this man Munir should be crucified if it is a real country. He should not be having lunches and dinners and having those guard of honors. Sir, mute. You're on mute.
Thank you so much. After India put the IWT under abeyance, or either around that time, Pakistan refused India its airspace to fly. The amount of loss they have incurred from not being able to collect that money? 4.1 billion rupees. Remember what I said just now in Urdu? In the last time I said a word? Sorry, I can't find a different word here. Sorry, I don't want to use that word.
मेरे पास एक word है sir, chaman. Then add the word.
They lose nothing. Right now, they have nothing to do with India has, it can pick any airfield it wants. You are so pathetic right now that you can't even repair your airfield. What you have done in Noor Khan is just completely concreted and sabki samadhi kar diya aapne. You're basically, completely cemented over all the people. We don't know how many people are there, or you don't want to know how many people are there. God only. What happens to all the women and the wives of and daughters of all these decorated officers? Why aren't you speaking up, madam? Mohtarama, aap baat kyun nahi kar rahe hain? This is as much see, we respect somebody who loses his or her life fighting for their country. Correct. But your government, your military is, I don't know what to say. Words fail me. Really, I have to find new words to describe this Pakistani military and their armed forces. They don't even have the decency to bury their dead properly. Horrible. Sir, let's get to the next topic.
Just one more.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
We go to the next. Now the question is what you rightly pointed out, sir. Brilliant question Sree sir raises. How many people died in Pakistan? Because we know how many terrorists did we kill. We know a few hundred. In my assessment, it's around 1,500. In my personal assessment, the government says minimum 200. Maximum, they don't say. But how many people in uniform? How many people in this Karana Hill? How many people in Noor Khan? How many people in all these attacks? So are you telling me nobody died in Pakistan? Are we being told nobody died in Pakistan and half of their assets got decimated? The Pakistan's military might was eroded. And Sree sir makes a very compelling point. Why don't they come and declare they're dead? Why don't their wives and their children speak? Because your sons, your daughters, or your father or your brother fought for Pakistan. At least they need to be given that name of Shaheed. So this is the reality of Pakistan. And the person who was behind the the whole plan, is decorated failed field marshal. That's why we call him the failed field marshal. That is the apathy of Pakistan. But I have to compliment Government of India. I have to compliment Indian forces. I have to compliment all the people involved. I think you could not have made us more proud. And we, as 1.45 billion Indians today, and wherever we are in the world, we feel so proud. We feel so indebted to you. And one thing was very clear. There was 101% political will and determination behind the operation. That's the point I wanted to make. Now let's go to the next one.
Yeah, thank you so much. And viewers, if you have not already liked this video, may I request all of you to like this video. See, this is not something that our good neighbors, neither on the north or up on the west, like. So they are going to try and find some way to try and keep this thing from going viral. But we have a lot of breaking information still to come. So small request to all of you to like this video. Let's go to the second topic, Alaska meeting. Why Alaska? August 15th.
Okay, now the things are as under. I have to take you a bit of the background what happened in the last few days. Look, Trump started threatening by moving nuclear subs. It did not cut ice. So Maldives, Dmitry reminded you of dead man's switch. Then he reminded you to have more subs than you. Then Putin started deploying some subs. And Russians are very secretive. They will never tell you what they are going to do. And when the subs have been seen near Europe and all, everybody started shaking. And you know Putin can walk the talk. Now you started talking. They said we walk out of this INF. So now Leningrad, missiles are moved. Belarus, missiles are moved. So the things are heating up. The waters of Pacific are getting hot. We are reaching a Cold War 3.0, which is a nuclear Cold War. Now, what happens is Sree Iyer, the American real estate guy, who is the best friend of Donald Trump, goes and meets Putin. The meeting happens for 3.5 hours, just one day before when our 𝗤𝗙𝗫𝗍𝗍 is there in Moscow. Now, when the meeting happens for 3.5 hours, Mr. Witkoff tries to convince Putin that why don't we come and talk Putin, Trump, and Zelensky and try to settle this out. Putin meets him, and what the Russians had already told us, we allow him to come here to have a coffee and a vodka possibly. So he tells him, look, buddy, we are not interested in meeting Zelensky. We are not interested in meeting him. So go and convey this to Trump. We are not interested in meeting Zelensky. Okay. Give me a second.
Yeah.
Okay. We are not interested in meeting Zelensky. Go and convey this to the Trump. So when this thing happens, this suddenly Trump is cornered because there are a couple of things which start coming up. Latest news of India, Modi ji has endorsed this meeting. Now there are a couple of things which have started coming up. Now, one is that Prime Minister Modi by that time said, I'm going to China. By that time, 𝗤𝗙𝗫𝗍𝗍 said, Putin is coming to India. There are a lot of things which are going to be signed up. By that time, Lula speaks to Prime Minister Modi, right? And BRICS gets coordinated more. And in the meanwhile, there are two breaking news, sensational news, which start coming from America. One is that the American economy might be entering recession. The recession is knocking at the doors. And then, because the BLS numbers are out, and the numbers are quite frightening, in fact, though Trump says the BLS top boss was their agent and all. He fired Dr. 𝗏𝗏𝗏, he fired the lady, but that doesn't change the things on the ground too much. The numbers are out. And you know, even after the last Saturday's fiasco, Americans' stock market lost $1.1 trillion in a day. So with all those fiascos going on and the numbers coming out, so Trump doesn't see things going on right. Then there is another news which hits at the same time. Before the Putin meeting, another news which hits, she said, is that Trump is warning of if judiciary overturns my tariffs, then we are looking at a 1930 kind of a super depression or super, what do you call this? Depression is a word. What is the word?
Depression time. Depression is correct.
Yeah, super depression. We are hitting that. So in the 24 hours, we have one news, they are almost reaching recession because of the CPI numbers changing, inflation starting hitting you, you know, the capital moving out, things, employment numbers are, you know, bad as the worse than COVID times. Now at the same time, you say, look, if you kind of interfere with my tariffs, now the recession will come out. And in 1930, again, similar thing was tried. But what happened, she said, that when the world did not respond, the American GDP shrank by 65% in 4 years. And the Great Depression or the Great Recession or the Super Depression happened in America. So at that point of also, they tried to increase the import duties of people trying to send goods into America to protect American industry. So now what we are doing it, that Trump is doing it the other way. He's not calling it import duties, he's calling it tariffs. So when this is happening and now the problems with Russia are increasing, suddenly Trump decides, okay, let me go and meet Putin, because all the tricks, all the arrows which he tried are not working. Steve Witkoff did not work, they did not. And Zelensky had become too much of a problem. Now Europe is worried because when they say Russian subs, in their vicinity, this is and Putin means business. And Putin has been very clear, I have thousands of Orshniks ready. So NATO doesn't have weapons, Trump doesn't have weapons. So Trump goes for the bro. What is the bro? Let me go and meet Putin. So suddenly we know there's an announcement which comes from Trump. I want to meet Putin this week. Next week. I said, wow, why did this happen? So then possibly Russians will call and say, we don't know. I mean, then talks are happening. Then suddenly Dmitry Peskov, who is their, external affairs spokesperson, said, yes, there is this meeting likely, but we don't know where it is going to happen. American media started covering it, said the meeting will happen. Then suddenly, I think today morning, we came to know, I think by 10 o'clock India time or 11 o'clock India time, that the meeting is happening in Alaska. Why Alaska? Couple of things here. Alaska is American territory, but Alaska was sold by Russians to America in 1967. So it was traditionally a Russian territory, but in 1867, it got sold to America. Now there is this fiasco around Putin that Putin might be arrested. There's an international court, ICJ warrant against him. When he wanted to go to Brazil, Lula could not guarantee him, will he be arrested here or not. Though he's coming to India, nobody's going to touch Putin here for sure. Now, with that thing happening, they chose Alaska. Usually Alaska is not a very good venue for doing these big bilaterals or big decisive meetings, but they have chosen Alaska. Now, why Alaska? Because Alaska is hosting the Russian president on American soil. So this all crap which has been going like war criminal, butcher, he has massacred thousands of people, all war crimes and all is gone. Now ICJ warrants and all are all a thing of the history, because if America is not honoring them, forget any other country honoring them. And Alaska is very next to the Russia. Alaska is 101% within the hitting range of Russian Army, Navy, and the Special Forces. So you are going to a place which is very near, where you can be 101% protected. It is America, but with 101% hitting range of the Russians, Air Force, Army, Navy, whichever way you want, and even the Russian Special Forces. I think that is the reason why Alaska was chosen, because I've never heard in all my life a meeting being happening in Alaska. Now, what is happening in the meeting? Now, they say that we want to come and see how can we settle this war. Now, the Russians agree, yes, the agenda of the meeting is to close this war. Important thing is Zelensky is not part of the meeting. Zelensky is not called in there. So the people in Europe are pissed off. Why you are not calling Zelensky? Because we don't want Zelensky to be there. And people are saying, how can you represent Ukraine's interest if Zelensky is not there? So Ukraine is not happy. Europe is not happy, because Europe believes their biggest threat comes from Russia. And Zelensky has been taken out of the meeting. Putin has indicated and made it clear, look, my agenda is very clear. I want whatever territory, including Crimea and all, is in my control. That should be part and recognized as, this should be recognized as Russian territory. You have to recognize it formally. That is the only end to the war. I am not going to trade off land. And Zelensky has been already told, look, buddy, land has to go. There is no way else to stop this war. Land has to be given, because Zelensky, as I've been telling you, sir, is losing like hell. Even last couple of days, when I was talking on PGurus, that Zelensky is losing. He doesn't have weapons. Americans don't have weapons. NATO doesn't have weapons to give him anymore. He's losing ground very fast. So Trump is trying to get a kind of a ceasefire or before it is kind of declared defeat for Zelensky. What does defeat for Zelensky mean? Defeat for Zelensky means defeat for America, NATO, and Europe put together. So to avoid that, they still want to have a face, give Putin what he wants, and still call it a kind of a ceasefire, still call it some kind of a negotiated settlement. Well, when Putin goes to the table, the one thing which is in his mind, I want you to recognize all this. I want you to recognize this as a part of my territory, so that is thing. And in the meanwhile, that is why Alaska. And in the meanwhile, there's a tailspin to the whole story. Xi Jinping calls Putin. Now, Xi Jinping calls Putin. Now, that is where the things start going a bit crazy, because it is believed that Xi has a couple of interests. Xi is talking that either he is giving Putin some leverages or he is giving Putin some liabilities. What can be the leverage? Leverage can be, okay, if you kind of cut a deal with Americans, I am going to bring this to the table. Or liability can be given, if you are cutting a deal with Ukraine, can you make sure America recognizes Taiwan as a part of China formally and holds to one China policy? Because that will avoid a major conflict which might flare up 1 year, 2 years, 3 years down the line. So if you want to not have another Russia-Ukraine happening, so ask Americans to formally recognize Taiwan and recognize one China policy, and instead tell them, not interfere in this. Now for India is watching it carefully, because now India has to calibrate its relations real time with China and with Russia. They have to be calibrated in real time now. It's a very difficult thing. Now at the same time, there's also one caveat here. Look, now the maps of the world are redrawn. The traditional approach has been this, sir. I send in my diplomacy. They fizzle out. Okay, here comes my military. Now, what does this conflict tell you? Here the areas fizzled out. I send my military capture this part. Now, diplomacy will come and put the thappa, will legitimize it. So here the tables have turned. Now, here the maps of the world are redrawn, because based on your military might and how much powerful your military is. Now, for Bharat also, for us also, we are watching very carefully, because if we are not very strong, which we are, and if we don't kind of enhance our forces and military, which I have been shouting my lungs out for here months now, that is what we need to do. Because tomorrow, there might be a situation that some people might meet somewhere and decide who's his POK. Some people might meet somewhere and decides where does 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗧 go permanently, which is our territory. Some people might meet and decide somewhere where does POJK go, or where does 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗪𝗏 go. Because today, if it can happen for Ukraine, why can't it happen for Taiwan, or why can't it tomorrow happen for POJK or GB, where there might be some deal cut? And remember, failed field marshal is summoned to America. What we are told that General Michel Correll of CENTCOM is retiring, and for his farewell in Florida and Miami, we want this failed field marshal to come and do, because he's a good terror hunter. Obviously, there is no precedence like this. There is nothing like this, because Pakistan has been supporting Iran for the nuclear bomb. Pakistan has been clearly on the side of Iran. Pakistan has been raising this PLA 98th raising day. They have been calling the Chinese ambassador. They have been doing everything and anything which goes against the American ethos. Now, with this change scenarios, they are calling the field marshal there. Now, we know we have our interests and our things are very safe vis-a-vis Russia. But China needs American market desperately. We are not so much, kind of lured by the American market. We can still survive, but China cannot survive. China has 51 to 55% tariffs on it. If Trump imposes the tariff on this buying Russian oil, then things will go up. And by the way, there was one more fiasco which was created by UK, which was reported by Russian intelligence. Russian intelligence reported that the UK, along with NATO, was trying to attack our shadow fleet, the fleet which carries the oil for Putin. And NATO and Russia had a very clear warning: if you attack our shadow fleet, that will be the ultimate Lakshman Rekha, or the red line, which you will cross, then the hell will break loose. So with those fiascos happening, with this nuclear rhetorics going on, with the war of words, with the movement of subs, so things were really hitting, the shit was going to hit the fan. So Trump, they wanted to go for the broke, wanted to go and kind of see what he can talk to Putin direct. And I think after 2018 or 19, it's after 6 years, these guys are meeting directly. And that is why Alaska was chosen. There were talks of a lot of intermediate venues, including Belarus, which was rejected by Americans. And the deal, and this meeting is being kind of brokered by the Belarus president, 𝗪𝗏. I can't pronounce his name properly. He kind of brokered this deal. It was not Tayyip Erdogan. It was not Qatar. It was not the traditional guys who usually want to get into this mess. None of them were a guy. It was the Putin's guy who brokered the deal. And now the things were heating up. Trump's economic condition is not good. Things are not looking right. His things are going here and where. Now, with those fiascos happening, and Trump is seeing a clear alignment, which might be even temporary in nature, happening between India, China, and Russia. And now you have BRICS joining the alignment, and your BRICS countries joining the alignment, and BRICS countries already talking, let's increase the trade in the local currency. When the things started going this far, you might have one day, MBS waking up and saying, why don't I start selling oil to India and China in rupees or yuan? If that happens, that will be the end of the petrodollar. If petrodollar shakes, that will be the end of the dollar. 1 month back, Sree said, there was no signs of de-dollarization. We could not even see them in the spectrum. I've been stretching my neck out and saying, no, they are not there. But today, with what Trump is trying to do, and what he has been trying to do, all these, 50%, the fact remains, Sree sir, if I am unviable at 25%, you make it 2,500%. How does it matter? You make it 50, you make it 125, it doesn't matter. If I'm unviable at 25, sir, go ahead and make it 625. How does it matter? The people will only talk to you by 5, 10, 15%. After that, they say, go and make it 2,500%. How does it matter to me? And there was very clear mandate, I'm telling you here. I've been trying to talk this through every media platform. RBI governor clearly told us, look, our economy is not going to be impacted unless and until we do this stupidity of putting retrospective tariffs. That will impact our economy. Currently, we are not impacted. Currently, it's only $40 billion of export which might be impacted. At $40 billion, at the economy of 4 trillion is 1%, less than 1%. And if you look at PPP, $15 trillion GDP, it doesn't matter. Even if we look at normal GDP, absolute GDP, it's less than 1%. We have already diversified our oil. We are buying oil from I think 21 sources, then 27. I think we have now gone to 41. There are 41 suppliers of oil across we have in the world. Our exports have been diversified to Africa. And right when we talk, our ministry is working at in a war room, and they are trying to see if this 40 billion gets hit, where can we say push these goods. We are already in the process of making a PLI scheme, that is performance linked incentive for our exporters, so that they can handle all this. And Prime Minister Modi was very clear. Look, yesterday he said, I am going to take it a personal hit. My repute, my goodwill might be hit, but I'm not going to compromise on farmer, my dairy farmer, my fisherman, my chota vyapari, small trader, and my MSMEs. There are some red lines which are not going to happen. And with this BRICS and everybody coming together and everybody forming this alliance, and if I may take a minute, sir, if I look at India, China, Russia, add Brazil to it, and BRICS countries to it, how much of the world GDP is it? It's 70 to 80% of the GDP. It is 70 to 80% of the population. It is 70 to 80% of the nuclear weapons. It is 70 to 80% of the foreign exchange reserves. It is everything is pretty much there. So I don't know what Trump is trying to create, because initially we thought whatever he was trying to create was to kind of decentralize the supply chains, was trying to put China in a box. So for that, the concept was okay. But then you start imposing same tariffs and conditions on NATO allies. Then you go and impose on your best of the allies. Then, I mean, the things really go ugly when you try to kind of cut a sweet deal with Pakistan and you are trying to impose tariffs on India. And what did we do yesterday? I mean, yesterday, if you look, we have cancelled that. We have put the hold at $3.5 billion deal for those Boeings. The P8I precedents, which we are going to buy, that is halted. Rajnath Singh ji was supposed to go to travel to US for some new deals, cancelled. And after us, Spain and Switzerland has also scuttled their F-35 deals. I mean, that's all in news in the open domain. And after these numbers have come up of the BLS, we are yet to see what is the shock the American markets are going to respond. Because last time, 24 hours resulted into $1.1 trillion gone out of the market. So things are not looking good the way Trump is handling it. You know, there are a lot of challenges within the America also, which he has to realize. But, you know, he has to...
Sirji, I have to clarify one thing. This Boeing order cancellation, India is saying it has not cancelled it. So let's hold on that one.
Delay kar diya.
Hold on that one. Yeah.
Right now they have delayed it. In a way, abeyance thoda aage dal diya. Aage dekhenge. So they kind of paused it. So cancelled might not be the proper English. Paused may be the proper English. They paused it for the while, and this P8I deals have been also paused. Now Rajnath Singh's visit was supposed for new deals. It has been cancelled because of this. So when all these things are happening, you look at the quantum of damage which American economy is going to take. And let me take you back to two important aspects. Economist article where you said the GDP will contract by 6% and the average household incomes will go from 6 to 10%. And if people start putting retrospective tariffs, the American middle class and the lower middle classes, the people are going to suffer most. Forget Bill Gates of the world and Elon Musk, it doesn't matter to them. And Bank of America, I think 2 days back, where Trump was very upset with them. He said, if things are going like that, now here is an analogy. I'll give you the analogy. He said, if the things are going like this, I don't remember the number. It is 40 trillion or $72 trillion, which will move out of American economy next 4 years. That is what the Bank of America said, and Trump was very much pissed with them. Now, exactly what happened in the Great Depression in the 1930s. After the act was brought in, the people did not respond. The world started alienating America, and in 4 years, the GDP shrank by 65%. So if I look at today's GDP, $29 trillion, if I look at this $40 trillion figure, let's assume it's 42 trillion, because I'm not sure it's 40 or 70. Let's go with the lower number, 40 only. So if it is 40 number only, so you're talking of 1.5 years of GDP moving out of America next 4 years. And when the economic growth is 1.2, 1.3%, how can you afford this kind of a debacle? Even in the last time when the fiasco happened on last Saturday, how much? $72 billion in cash left America in 48 hours. $72 billion of cash. I don't know. It's something called being penny wise and pound foolish. You might try to make some nickels here and there, but you're losing those big dollars everywhere. And if that is the Trump strategy, and that too, you want to have a nuclear fiasco with Russia. You want to start a war with everybody. And China is very happy. Iran is very happy. Israel is pissed off. Israel doesn't want this to happen because Israel then has to go back to the drawing board and start doing it. Bharat has been very smart. Bharat has been trying to calibrate its relations with China. And, when Modi ji said, I'm going to join the SCO summit, the Chinese Communist Party has welcomed that. So we're very happy that Prime Minister Modi is coming and all. But can you trust the China? No, because if Trump tomorrow decides to bring the Chinese tariff back to 10% or 15%, the Chinese will be taking a complete U-turn because that's how their economy is. So India, that's why I'm saying India has to, Sree sir, recalibrate its foreign policy on a real-time basis with India, with Russia and China, and maintain a kind of a open window with Americans and see how the things turn up, because this volatility in the market is dangerous. I'll tell you what the Global Times wrote, I think around 4 days back. He said, Trump's ego has burned down the Wall Street. They wrote like this. And even a lot of people, even within the America, a lot of big, these economic, financial papers or magazines and all, they've been all saying it's the ego of this man. I mean, it is really bringing down America. It's really hurting the American economy much more than which is anticipated. We always thought that Trump's madness has a method, but I think there's no method. The second part is only which is left. So let's hope this meeting works through. And there is a good chance, sir, the meeting might work through. The oil might be regulated. The things might come a little bit better. Now we are already, I am told, somebody can help me validate, the pipeline which is going from Kazakhstan to Europe. I think the pipeline has been kind of nalka band kiya. The half tap has been closed. So, Russia can even close that pipeline completely going to the Europe, which will be a major, major fiasco. The oil prices will start skyrocketing. And there's a possibility, sir, that this deal might completely conk off. Because knowing Trump, if he tries to be high-handed, if he tries to, Rajnath's visit is, he has decided not to go to US, which he was supposed to fly in one of these days. So it has been delayed as on date. So when his last flying dates, he was not decided not to go there. And so coming back to this, if the deal gets called off, there'll be a lot of clutter, there'll be a lot of crap which will float. And with this volatility, which investors don't want volatility. Investors don't want this, change of policy here and there. So how will the financial markets behave? How will the stock markets behave? This is all something to be seen. So if the deal works, good for us. We will be through a smooth patch. But if Trump again tries to be the boss here and tries to, tell Putin what to do, Putin is in a very advantageous place. So let's see how it happens, what it happens. Nobody wants war. Nobody wants fiascos. But let's hope that Trump is able to control his ego and, sail the things through. Unfortunately, I was very perplexed to see this morning Marco Rubio saying again, we brokered the Indian-Pakistan. I mean, from the press secretary to your foreign minister to everybody we want them to kind of, rattle one line. You want them to parrot one line. We brokered the peace. But this is absolutely clear. You have no role in that. So I don't know what is this, approach about I, me, myself. And is it going to help the America? Is it going to help the American? Is this what Americans voted Trump for us? Is this going to help the world? That is a big, big question mark. In my opinion, no. And I think he could have been a much better president if it was not about getting into that press glare and everybody every day calling those press people to my office and okay, you. I want to look smart all the time. I want to be in the newspaper all the time. I want to be hitting headlines all the time. Well, I think that is something which has costed him dearly. And I hope still with Putin something works out and we are able to see a stop to this Russia-Ukraine war. And I think Zelensky somewhere down the line should be held responsible for all this. And I can tell you one thing, sir. If Putin wins this war, he will want in his area of influence NATO to be out, which includes Poland, which includes Hungary. So the fiasco will not stop. The temporary, the winds will get stabler, but then Putin will emerge as the macho man. Putin will emerge as victorious and that Russian pride and all will be restored. Then Putin will not be happy with Ukraine. He will want Poland, he will want Hungary, NATO out. So what is NATO going to do? Are you going to be out? And let me remind you, German intelligence told us that there's a chance that Putin might want to trust the NATO Charter 5 by blocking a couple of vessels in the Black Sea, by having a skirmish with the NATO's navy and seeing how NATO responds to it. It's published by German intelligence. It's published by German media. So things are There are a lot of undercurrents going on. Let's see how they settle, and how they manage. We will keep an eye on everything. Well, I will try to keep an eye on everything and report as and when they happens. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And now let's take a few questions, Sumitji. First question is Trump and Modi together playing for this Ukraine conflict as a geopolitical drama to close this war, or is it my wishful illusion? Your comments. One minute for each question, sir.
Trump and Modi are not aligned here, sir. And there's nothing like that. I told you, why did I get into so many details and give you all the things which have been happening for last 3-4 days, so that you could understand why Trump opted to meet Putin all of a sudden. That's why we are going into so much details. Modi ji is not.
Next one, please. Shashikant Reddy wants to know how much hype was created in the different media by Pakistan.
These people are. That's why I told you this. ISPR means India se Petoro. Look, we have ISRO, we have Bell, we have
India se Petoro.
We have, and I call them the meme factory of the world. And this Mullah Munir, I called him not a general. He's the graphical editor. So you see, we have these fantastic organizations, Bharat Dynamics, who have delivered wonders for us. And what does Pakistan have? None of this. What do they have? ISPR. What is ISPR? It's the propaganda machine of ISI. So ISPR, which is the propaganda machine of ISI, will only do this. That is what they are paid. This is their job. There are few hundred people which are paid this every day to run these, I call them even the meme factory of the world. So they're substandard, low quality, third grade meme factory of the world. Let's not give them credit.
Next one, Magnet Ranga wants to know, Sumitji, isn't it sad that the Air Force chief has to come and tell facts so that one opposition politician's lies are negated?
I think it made us all proud, sir. Anyway, we don't take that opposition politician seriously. That is why I say Monday he gets agenda from China, Tuesday from Pakistan, third day from America. And Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the timetable repeats, and on Sunday he's on chutti. Sunday he doesn't comment anything because tab chutti hai. He wakes up early at 9 o'clock. When he wakes up early, it's 9 o'clock.
Next one, please. Rachel Parmar wants to know, should India withdraw its Kashmir case from UN after the abrogation of the Article 370 and 35A?
Yeah, UN is able to do nothing. It's not a bad idea. We have to set a time deadline for taking POJK and GB back and even think about accession. But again, we are only interested, ma'am, in land, not the liability. If I can be as candid and direct. Liability nahi chahiye.
Next one, Romidi wants to know, Romide, angry Uncle Sam won't hit directly. They'll activate religious discrimination report, reduce ranks on many indices, disturb stock market, use Indian opposition and make ruckus, villainize with soft power. How will we manage it?
Now, my brother, if you're already listing all of it, so most of us know what they're going to hit from. So we have to manage it. Look, there's going to be, when your vehicle, when there's a mud thrown on your vehicle gets dirty, but your clothes don't get dirty. So as long as the periphery is kind of, they can attack your periphery, they can't attack your core. We know what our core is. Our core is rock solid. We will walk through it. Of course, all these different ones. Why do you think they are calling Field Marshal there? Either they want to have a coup in Pakistan, they want to get him into the chair through a coup, and forget personal amendments. They can always, Trump has the powers to bypass them, or make him a president, or they have hired him to disturb India. And already this Field Marshal, there's a public interview by one of the Pakistani military spokesperson where he says that we have plans to disturb India through Bangladesh, and we have plans to disturb India through Northeast. So why do you think he's called? None of the Pakistani politicians has been called to America in 60 days. What do you think this failure is so special? Of course he's called for something like this, something around one of these areas which you're hinting at.
Satyanarayana wants to know, looks like Zelensky is not amenable to any deal between US and Russia. Unless he's on board, how will any peace deal work?
Zelensky has become a liability, sir. Ukraine is losing, because Ukraine losing will mean NATO lost, Europe lost, America lost, West lost. So Trump is trying to salvage the situation, but still trying to make it like a deal cut or a ceasefire. Or at least he can make the press secretary say 1008 time that he must be given the Nobel Prize. Not 108, 1008. Please give my boss the Nobel Prize. So that is what Trump wants to do. But ultimately, if they don't cut this deal, Putin is going to win anyway. It's a matter of time.
Next one, please. Prakash wants to know, Prakash Shashi, I am really worried about the lovely First Lady Melania Trump. My sources told me that she wants out. Can you request Putin to give her asylum in Russia?
Yeah, Putin has made a good 7-star, those villas and all. So there are a lot of people who will be going to Russia. So I request a brother to put in a request or a meeting. They will allocate a fabulous estate for her. And Russians are good at that. Putin runs this business, but the condition is you have to go with a lot of money to Putin. And khali fokat mein nahi jaane ka. What do you bring along? That's what Putin is interested in.
Actually, Baron Trump has a good future in politics. So all the Trump family members will start dabbling in politics. Just wait and watch. Ram Naresh, I think, Bangalore. What is the compulsion of Saudi leadership to continue on petrodollar? Why Saudi withdraw their membership with BRICS?
Because
they did not join. They did not join.
They did not join. They wanted, but there was American pressure because at that point of time, that BRICS currency was talked about, which India and Russia said we are not interested. What did Saudis do? They did not join. I mean, always telling you for the dollarization to happen, petrodollar has to go. Unless and until petrodollar is there, dollarization is very, very difficult to happen. MBS has this what do you call a wound in the heart, which is this NOPEC on PEC after Adnan Khashoggi's incident or accident, whatever you want to call it. So then after that, so if the tides start turning, MBS has to do only two things. He might not have to get away with the petrodollar. They say, okay, to India and China, I can sell oil in their local currency. That will be 50 to 60% petrodollar gone. But will MBS do that? Because, there's also his political compulsions. There are his uncles, which has he put in the jail. There are his cousins, which has he put in the jail. I know there are a lot of inter compulsions. There are Wahhabs who still control the religious affairs of the kingdom. So if he can do that, that will be a big, big move. Of course, BRICS currency is not sustainable. Anything to do with China backing is not sustainable. But yeah, local currency dealings with any to many countries is always welcome.
Muthukumar Sundaram wants to know, how are we going to achieve level of self-reliance which is safe for the country? Since the question is addressed to me, I'll try to take a stab at it. Sumit ji, you can feel free to add after what I said. Muthukumar ji, it's already happening. See, these are all long gestation projects. It takes time before it comes out. India is still not completely in control of the components that make up these bigger products. For that, India still needs to import quite a bit, mostly from China, from Taiwan, and so on and so forth. So whatever Taiwan used to manufacture, like low-level things, that's all now moved to to China, I'm sorry. So everything has to be bought from China, resistors, capacitors, all the small basic building blocks. You don't have a choice. So those things, India doesn't manufacture them because it doesn't have the scales of economy. So this is going to build slowly but steadily. What India does have, that is where the demography dividend comes into play. India has the youth to do all these things. The other countries don't have that. They're not realizing it. Trump is not realizing it. So this is a huge problem for America. The demographic dividend is a huge problem for America. America, they don't have enough younger people supplanting the people who are dying. So the fertility rate is, I think, 1.67 or something like that. But if you look under the carpet, it's not very good. It's not very good. Middle class is not procreating. Upper middle class is not procreating. That's the ones that can support a family. See what I mean?
I think it's within the Hispanics only the birth rate is high. They're able to even to maintain this. If you take out Hispanic birth rate, then it's more, the number is very dangerous. It's dangerous.
Really dangerous. Yes. Thank you so much, Sumit ji. We'll be back again with Sumit ji at 10:15 tomorrow morning in Hindi about China or perhaps something else. If something else breaks, even more important. Let's see how it goes. Thank you so much, Sumit ji. We'll see you tomorrow. Namaskar.
Namaskar, sir. On that note, I would like to request all our brothers and sisters, kindly like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and please help us to grow, because we are taking a lot of people head on, and a lot of people don't like us, to be precise. But your love and patronage keeps us going. On that note and that assurance, which I assume and presume and believe will come to us. Bharat Mata ki jai, Vande Matram. Om Namah Parvati-Pataya. Har Har Mahadev.
Bye.